right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power, and in this video, I want to talk about the two biggest bodybuilders at the Arnold Classic 2020 this year, and that is Big Ramy and Morgan Aste. So the reason why I wanted to talk about these two guys is, number one, both of these guys are 300-plus pounders. They were both 300-plus pounds on stage. They are both massive bodybuilders, but there were some vast differences between these two physiques, and specifically the level of conditioning that they brought. Now, specifically, I wanted to put these videos next to each other, these posing routines, and show you guys these differences. Because Morgan, even though he was a 300-plus pound bodybuilder on stage, he was shredded to the bone. He was absolutely diced. He didn't have the prettiest structure. He didn't have the best proportions. He didn't have the most balanced physique, but he did come in shredded to the bone. Now, granted, he still took 13th place here, and Big Ramy took 3rd. But when we're talking about massive bodybuilders, gigantic bodybuilders, 300-plus pounders, Morgan has showed us a prime example of what a massive physique like that looks like, shredded, conditioned. He showed us here what we wanted to see from Big Ramy. Now, Big Ramy, while being a bigger guy, has much better proportions than Morgan Aste. He's got much better legs. He's got much better symmetry. He's got a small waist. He's got a V taper for a guy that's 300-plus pounds. I mean, Big Ramy has a pretty tightly controlled midsection for a guy as big as he is. And that's part of the appeal of Big Ramy, even though he is this mass monster bodybuilder. He's gigantic. He's got tons of muscle. He weighs, he's extremely heavy. But at the same time, he hasn't blown out his physique. I mean, you can make the argument that his legs are a little bit too big. Specifically, his quads are a little bit too big and could be downsized even. But I think you can definitely see the clear difference here between the shape and structure of somebody like Big Ramy being 300-plus pounds and the shape and structure of Morgan being 300-plus pounds. Now, if you look at Morgan's conditioning here, there's a lot of things to point out. I mean, number one, the vascularity was there. The separation was there. When he hits poses, his muscles pop because there's so much detail and separation because of that conditioning. His legs, he had just veins all over his legs. His glutes were separated and striated. Even his midsection, he had veins popping out because this guy was in such good shape, and that's what we want to see from Ramy. Just veins across his chest, striations across his chest, ripped to the bone. That's what we wanted to see from Big Ramy, and I think Morgan really, really brought it here. And that's the unfortunate thing about Morgan is the fact that he still took 13th, because you got to ask yourself, how much better could Morgan have really been here? I mean, he's pretty much maxed out his physique to the maximum amount of muscle he could have put on that frame. I don't know how much bigger Morgan could get. He's a taller guy. I don't know how much more he could really fill out his physique, but he brought the conditioning and maximized what he could do with that physique. So it's kind of unfortunate for him because I think even with this crazy conditioning, it's still hard for him to beat better guys because they filled out their frames better. And if we see Ramy bring conditioning like this, he would be unstoppable. I mean, think about it. Ramy, even with the conditioning that he brought here to the Arnold, which again, I don't think was bad conditioning. I don't think we saw a bad Big Ramy. It just wasn't what we were expecting. It wasn't up to the standard of what the judges were expecting to see. And it just wasn't the crazy conditioning that we wanted, but it wasn't bad. And even though it wasn't as good as we were expecting, it was still enough to put him in the conversation for the top 3. He did take 3rd, but he was in the conversation for 1 and 2, even at prejudging. So I think Morgan is really showing us here what we could see from Big Ramy and what we want to see from Big Ramy, and Morgan brought what Big Ramy didn't. Will Big Ramy ever be able to put this package together? I don't know at this point. Honestly, it's beginning to look like I don't think we will ever see conditioning like this from Big Ramy. But who knows? It's still possible. But let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. Do you think Big Ramy will ever be able to get to this level of conditioning like we saw from Morgan here? Because Morgan did prove it's possible for a 300-plus pound bodybuilder to come in shredded. Let me know in the comment section below. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And as always, Nick Strength and Power, signing out.